Good afternoon, everyone. It must be 12 noon here on the East Coast because it's time for another edition of Hardison's Tips Live. I'm your host, Brandon Hardison, and while my students are out doing their lunch and things, it gives me an opportunity to get some experts in from other parts of the country. So, you salespeople that are viewing in, thank you. I hope there's some managers on here too, because if you forgot, in order for those people to be successful, you need to make sure that you're coaching them to their success. But we're honored here today to have Mr. Jim Webb, all the way from the great state of Texas. He is the founder and CEO of XP2 Virtual. But Jim, how about introducing yourself, giving us that 30,000-foot view of who you are, what you do?
Hello, Brandon. Thanks for having me today. I look forward to visiting with you for a little bit. I am in College Station, Texas today, and got into this car business back in 1995. So I've been in it a little while, seen a lot of things, a lot of changes, and have been actually started in the car business with my dad when I was a young man as a porter, learned how to clean a car right. And I've advanced all the way through our great business to a general manager position at one time, and most recently have been working as a director of business development. So I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on what specifically is going on today in this business.
Excellent, excellent. Love it. Now, here's the thing that I would like to address, and maybe you're running into some of the same things in your part of the country. We have these sales consultants. If you have a halfway decent HR department, they sourced and found someone. It's not like the old days. If you're breathing, start Monday. We want to get better than that. But no matter what, we have these salespeople. And many of them do well, but some of them start off with bad habits. They shadow the wrong person. They're told the wrong thing. They get frustrated. And what gets me, they tell people, automobiles, you can't make money selling automobiles. And I try to tell people buy cars every day. I'm sorry, you didn't get the training. So here's my thing. What would be maybe one thing that you think, if I want to be the best that I can be in 2020 and going beyond as a salesperson, is there maybe one thing we can start off the conversation with?
Sure. I think that to step up and above the rest, and there's plenty of salespeople out there, but I have always felt like that you need to be different. And I'm not talking about dressing with a bow tie, even though that works.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about being an expert. I think one of the best things that all those newbies that you're working with right now can do today is to make a decision that I'm going to become an expert in this business. Okay. And you don't do that all in one day. You do it
Okay.
every day. And you do that becoming a student of the business. You practice, you
Ooh,
drill, you
ooh,
rehearse, you
ooh.
study, you practice, you drill, and you rehearse. And when you're a student of a business, it's not just the cars you learn about the industry. And sometimes the best way to do that is to ask people that have been in it a while.
Hmm.
But to spend time every day becoming a student of the business. I have always taken pride in the fact that I just couldn't get enough information about the successful people in our business.
Mm-hmm.
I love to read about them. I love to talk to them. I like to see, the stories behind what somebody's done to overcome,
Right,
to
right.
get where they're at, because there's a commonality in all that, what I found. And there's not a whole lot of differences in those people. The key thing and the main thing for people to start with, though, is that decision to become a student. I think that's probably more so than anything, is to
I
decide you're going to become an expert.
I'm with you. I'm glad you brought that up because you said that evil word, practice. As adults, not talking about kids because they're still growing, but as adults in our class, we role play, we put them on film, we look back at the film,
Sure.
and they don't, oh, I don't want to practice. Well, if you don't practice amongst people that are trying to get better like you, who are you going to practice on? And we know the answer, the customer. And guess who's going to win? The customer, right?
And
With
that
that. So
costs us money.
oh, say it again. Say it
That costs
again.
us money. I've
Yeah.
never, you know, I can remember one of my first mentors in sales told me, he said, if you don't practice to know what to say, there's no other way than to look at what you're going to do with that customer than as practice. And
Yes.
that becomes very expensive practice. And I
Mhm.
don't know, even as a young man, I mean, I was able to get that in my head pretty quick and realize that, oh, okay, so practice before I go and actually put on the show.
Got
Actually
it.
go to work as a pro. So
No,
uh,
no,
absolutely,
no,
got to practice.
I like that. How about if we're talking about being sincere, having empathy for the customers? Because we throw those words around a lot as management, empathy, being sincere. If you look at that, what does that mean to you?
Um, well, one of the very first things that I notice anytime that I'm around a manager with a salesperson, most of the managers that I talk to have been salespeople at one time or the other. And any of those managers that treat salespeople like anything other than gold, they don't have a lot of empathy
Mm,
because they've done forgot what got them where they're at. But I digress. From a salesperson's standpoint with their customers, empathy will set them apart as much as anything
mhm.
because their sincere curiosity about that customer shows they care.
Right.
And if you truly have empathy, you want to put yourself in the shoes of the other person so that you can have an understanding. So many times salespeople today get to going so fast that the only thing their mind does is listen long enough to figure out what they're going to say next. They need to listen long enough to care
There you
so
go.
that they can help solve solve the pain. And the only way to do that is to be curious enough to ask good questions, to become tremendous question askers. Um, I mean, slow to listen, slow to speak, quick to listen.
Listen.
I actually write that down and have that on my computer screen so that when I'm talking to anybody, whether it's a
Right.
customer or a salesperson or a manager, I remember that because that is so key when it comes to empathy. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, that customer can feel a sincere, empathetic person and they can do it very quickly. One of the main things we can do to show sincerity is that when we ask a question, that we listen through to the end, and when we take action based on what we heard. That's
Oh.
one of the best ways to show sincerity. And I just think that empathy, setting ourselves apart today in our environment, so many salespeople and managers think it's about price.
Hmm.
Well, let those people chase price that want to, but then let the pros out there build relationships by being experts, by being empathetic.
Yeah.
You can see them all over social media. Some of these guys that have such a presence out there are experts at their
Yeah.
product. They're also, if you hear them talk about their customers, they know deep things about their customers. I teach one thing, and that's to use the CRM to make notes. Okay. Well,
Ah.
the only reason to make a note as a salesperson is if I have information. So I
Mhm.
have a customer come in at 6 o'clock in the evening, but he's got to leave in 15 to 20 minutes because Sally has a T-ball game.
Mhm.
Okay, I listened, I heard. Why don't I make a note about that? So the next time that I talk to Mr. Brown, I ask him, how was Sally's T-ball game? That will go so much further than anybody can understand, because that says you care. And, you say care in the car business, somebody's going to say, man, that dude, Jim, he's weak. And, hey, call me weak all you want. Caring about people got me where I'm at. And that's what you got to do.
Thank you for that. You gave a whole lot of things in there, but let's go back to that investigation, needs analysis, asking high gain questions. I heard you use the word pain, whatever you want to call it. I see so many so-called professionals, they skip through,
Oh, yeah.
rush through. I keep telling them the car is not going anywhere. I guarantee you, we know where the second set of keys are, and we know where to put petrol. This step, this questioning is
Right.
very important. Not the interrogation, but like you said, those soft things
Oh,
about the
man.
family, about the recreation. Those are the key things that you need.
Well, I don't understand how we can expect to be a professional, or somebody to consider us a professional. And if somebody's coming in to replace a vehicle, now that's a number 2 most expensive purchase most people will make. And we do not ask, what do you like about the one you're replacing? And what would you change? Those 2 questions, as simple, as logical as they are, they get skipped. I would say 75% of the time is safe, and probably more. And to me, I don't really, I could never understand what somebody, that's the only thing that keeps them from doing it, is a lack of belief and fear that they're going, and because of that lack of belief in themselves, that they're going to lose something if they ask too much.
Yeah.
And, I don't understand, because as a consumer, if I was a consumer and I'm consuming a product today, a computer, whatever it is, and it's going to cost money, if you're the salesperson, I'm going to respect you for asking questions like that,
Yes.
because you're trying to put yourself in my shoes. The computer you own may not be something I can use.
You got
The
it.
computer
No.
I think I want may not even work.
Hello.
And
Yeah.
so how do we know what vehicle? And understand. Now I do understand. I understand, so that the customers are really, really difficult to deal with sometimes. Um, and they come in and you ask any questions at all, and they shut you down.
Mhm.
So what do we do now? We're going to not ask anybody anything?
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
I think that you can't take that 5% that are just horribly rude to everybody, including their spouse and everybody else, and then decide that's how I'm going to handle my whole process.
No.
No,
No.
I'm going to take care of everybody like I'm a pro.
I
So
love it. Now, here's one other thing, and then we'll move on. You just brought up something else there with that. That listening thing, even though if it's maybe a bad question, still are we listening for the response? I try to tell people is that you, Jim Webb, anybody in the country has never passed a mind reading class. I don't know. The only way I know that I understand is to recap. Let me make sure I'm having a good Wednesday, Jim. You said that you had to have this technology package because
let me
salespeople don't read. They
let
just
me
get up
make
here.
sure we're on the same page. I
Yes.
think what you just said was this. Is that right? I agree. And they look at that as being a trial close. That's not a trial close. It's making sure we're on the same page. Don't call it closing if that scares you. That's my whole deal. If saying close scares you, then don't call it that. It's a question. But I don't know how else to do it. I mean, as you know, as you advance in business, whether it be handling problems that customers have, I still use those particular things every step of my business, whether it be It may be a business to business deal that I'm closing a big deal and I'm talking to a CEO of another company. I'm going to say, hey, Mr. CEO, let me make sure that I'm on the
Yeah.
same page with you. So, to all the new people out there, if you want to really do well, get that down now because you'll use that from now on. Always make sure you're on the same page.
That's it. See, what gets me, like you said, some are terrified. They're worrying about
Oh,
some
yeah.
customers shutting them down. But the thing of it is, they drove in.
Yep.
There was nobody out there with a funny sign said, turn in here.
Yeah.
They
Or
drove
else.
in.
All right.
So they need something, information on
Right.
something. So
Right.
let me just listen. Let me make sure. And the other thing that gets me, they're afraid to get assistance. They're afraid to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
the desk man, boss, this is what I got. I just talked to Jim. He said X, Y. And I try to tell them, you're not in the manager's meetings. They know something about marketing, advertising, promotion. They know something that you don't. Why wouldn't you tap into that
Right.
experience?
You bet. They're supposed to anyway, and it's not their decision to whether or not to do that or not. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think about their ability. Sometimes you just need to get somebody else's head in this thing with you. See if we can figure something out.
You got it. You got it. Now, got to move on because my people will be back, and I know you got to go. Uh, what's your thought when it's applicable? Because I know maybe a large dealer group they may frown on it, but websites for salespeople. Can you elaborate? Can you talk on that for a second?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. I just don't in today's environment. If you're business, a legit business person, what will you have? Well, you'll have a website. Most salespeople at a car dealership, if somebody says, what's your website? They say www.abcmotors.com. My thing is why are you promoting that business? Now, don't get me wrong. I've been the dealer. I understand that that's what I'm talking about a salesperson that is wanting to stand out among anybody, to get referrals, to build their business, have people call them for whatever they need. When somebody says, do you have a business card? Why don't you have www.jimwebb.com? Here's the only business card you need of mine. And on that website is basically a digital business card.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not intended to do all the things that a car business dealership, a dealership's website does. It shouldn't. It should basically say, this guy's legit. It should show pictures of customers that are happy.
Uh-huh.
It should be mobile responsive because that's what people are going to use it on is a cell phone. And it should give you credibility. They should be able to make a phone call directly to you. They should be able to pull up that website and text you if that's what they want to do. And they should have a link to the dealership's
Ah,
site for inventory and those kind of things. And
beautiful.
honestly, I think that probably is one of the places that a lot of people miss it. Now, a pro in this business is going to have their own. They may be putting together an app. But
Right.
here's what I found with this. Most of these website companies out there are taking care of the dealership, but most
Mm-hmm.
salespeople can't afford the elaborate websites. They can't maintain it. It costs too much money. And so we're trying to help with that. And I'm not here for a commercial, but I do have xp2virtual.com, and that again is xp2virtual.com. And anybody that's interested, just go there. We've got some information on that site, and then you can gather some information from us and send us some, and we'd be glad to get back with you. But I think that if you look at today and you don't have a website, people just aren't going to take you seriously. And
Wow.
I want to stand out above. I want somebody to say, that guy was better to do business with. And by the way, I asked him for his business card and he gave me his website. So there you go.
No, no. All that is outstanding because It's all about who they're going to buy from.
Right.
They're going to
Absolutely.
buy.
Absolutely.
So if you do these little things, like you said, so they can remember or separate yourself, like you said, from the rest of the pack, you have a better opportunity. So the website is a
Brandon,
great.
there's one truth that
Uh-huh.
has never changed in all the time that I've been in sales.
Okay.
People buy from people, and they buy from people that they like and trust.
That's it.
And that has never changed. So
I like what you said, but I know you got to run. I got to run.
I
But
do.
one more time, how do the people reach out and get to you again?
You can go to xp2virtual.com, or feel free to email me at jim@jimwebonline.com. That's jim@jimwebonline.com. That's 2 B's, not 1. All right, Brandon,
Okay.
thanks a lot.
Okay, then. And everyone out there, you go back out there, last day of the month for some of you. Some of your manufacturers may extend it another day or two. Take advantage of all of that. But as always in parting, remember, you go out and make it a champion.